On this episode of Pennies Going in Raw, me and Hugh discuss this week in the market, personality of stocks, trading while at work, Hugh's DD, question and answer, swings of the week, and a scenario on raising your kids to be bad asses.
Hey y'all, it's Vinny. While the intro's playing, if y'all don't mind going over to Apple Podcasts and leaving a 5-star review for us, it helps us out a lot. Peace, y'all.
Hey, yo, check 1, 2. This is Flavor Flav in the building for the Atlas crew.
Atlas Trading, what the fuck is up?
There are traders, there are prodigies, and then there's legends.
We're up 4%, baby.
No way.
4 fucking percent.
Buy the fucking dip.
Hey, who told me about IDEX?
Like, dude, what the fuck? Like, someone just made, like, a lot more money than me on my trade.
You find out life's this game of pennies.
Did you check the portfolio?
Pennies.
The margin for error is so small.
I bet Warren Buffett never did that.
And they out there making money right now off of penny stocks.
Them two guys is putting in work to make y'all rich.
The pennies we need are everywhere around us.
Time to think big.
Pennies Going in Raw.
Featuring Dan, Deity at Dips, and Hugh Henne.
Produced by Vinny Strokes, baby.
Welcome to the Penny Stock Podcast presented by the Blazing Chronicle for all of your cannabis and cannabis stock news. Today is Sunday, August 2nd, and we are back to the market making absolutely no sense, man.
Yeah, the market's so weird. I mean, you could have lost even though when you look at SPY over the last week, it looks like it really didn't move that much, but the range was insane. You could have lost a lot of money this week.
Yeah, if you were overreacting to some of the drops, selling red, not sure what's happening, it could have definitely messed you up. But if you were taking profits here and there and buying on these nice little dips, it was good money there. I really liked this week. It worked out. I mean, it worked out. Like you said, it stayed relatively flat, but it was a rocky road to end up flat.
Yeah, I'm looking at the chart right now for SPY, and I mean, it was like, I'm looking at Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, and by 10 a.m. each day, there was this huge dip every day, and then by the end of the day, it closed at like a new high. So, I mean, that was, I know from my portfolio, it was horrible in the morning, and then at like the end of the day it was beautiful to run up into, and then again the next morning it'd dip again, etc. But it was nice.
This week was absolutely my best. I had my best day ever on Monday, and then I had my second best day ever on Wednesday, and then on Thursday I did come out with my first 5-figure day from PRPO. Halted up for a clean 600%, just as I expected. Not really, but it was awesome. That was such an exciting day. I refreshed from being down 800 to being up 12,000. First one, and hoping for a few more.
So, question: this time last year, did you even know about trading, let alone think that you'd be here?
Around this time last year was probably whenever I bought my first $12 in Bitcoin and proceeded to make it $60 and then check it again in December. And I was like, wow, I just lost half of this money. I should get into trading. And so that was actually how it happened. But no, I had no clue about trading at all back then. So it's wild how fast things can change.
Yeah. So I mean, like, has it hit you? Like, what'd you do this week?
I made 19.
And you did from March to December at your old job. What'd you do?
15,400 or so.
Wow. So has it hit you like this 1 week?
It's like I've realized it, but at the same time, it's still like, damn, son.
Yeah, because you're frugal. You and I are both pretty frugal, so it's not like, we make 19.
I did buy a smart water today.
Oh, so. God, dude, my heart just skip a beat a little bit.
Hey, yeah, but I think the big thing of it all is, or of at least this podcast, is the personality of a stock, man. I think we could at least get into it with, just being, what is the personality of a stock? How do you explain that?
Yeah, so I think the simplest way to put it is the personality of the stock is the way the stock moves based on management. So how does management release a lot of fluff PRs and stuff, or the way that the price action and chart is?
Okay. So there are two different sides to it. Could you kind of explain the management side to it real quick when you're discussing about the personality of it?
Yeah, so this is really important because I think if the management doesn't know what's going on with investors, or management isn't trying to create the maximum value for the shareholders and update the shareholders, then the stock is never going to go anywhere. For instance, ACHV, although it's funny that we're talking about this because I know personally that me and Incredible Bob and a few others knew the value of ACHV forever. And we've been waiting for them to release a press release for the longest time. They had so many chances, and we've been through like 2 RSs, like I can't even count how many offerings, probably 6 offerings. And we just kept believing that when they finally did release a press release that it would rip. And what did it do? I think it was Thursday or Friday. They released a great press release right after our RS, and it ripped. So that one was hurt because we always thought, we were like, oh man, here comes an RS, perfect opportunity, or here comes a conference, perfect opportunity. Or another one, if you guys have been following me for a while, back in February, we had GHSI. GHSI was,
Ooh.
yeah, seriously. We only made about 20% on it, which I was honestly looking for over 100%.
Dude,
and with that
GHSI,
one, yeah.
I was holding it for like 2 months. Any profit I made on any other stock, I put into GHSI. And I eventually just gave up, sold it all, and I play it for little bits of cash here and there. But whenever I finally sold, that is whenever my portfolio turned around, just being able to play with more money. I think if there is something holding you down, sometimes maybe just cut off that anchor and try some other thing. But what were you saying about it?
No, GHSI is the wife. You're the boyfriend to the wife, and she keeps saying she's gonna leave her husband, and then what does she do? She goes and renews her vows. She keeps leading you on.
You want Miss Henne, but she's Miss Deity right now.
That's all right. You know where she's at Friday night.
Oh wow.
No, but yeah, so management is really important because GHSI, they had a huge product coming out for, immune, to bolster immunity, which I actually bought that piece of shit. But anyway, so they released it on a Friday. It was like a holiday Friday, and it was midday, and they released it, and they didn't even talk. The CEO came out and he was like, oh yeah, we're really excited about this. Here you go. What?
We want Acumune numbers.
Yeah, we want numbers, potential revenue, forward-looking statements, how many pre-orders, and this guy just came out in the middle of a Friday on a holiday. Half the traders I know weren't even working. And I was like, this is horrible. It popped like 5%. I was like, dude, this is absolutely ridiculous.
Well, before you start attacking like Michael Porter, the investor relations guy of GHSI anymore, if the management changes, could that personality of that stock change?
Yeah, 100%. And this is really important. And one of the things I look for is a new investor relations team. Because the investor relations should be the people who are constantly talking to shareholders, who have the know on how shareholders are feeling. If the investor relations, I hate to say this, but if they don't have a stock twits, then they are not doing it correctly and they're not in tap with the people that they should be. If I'm getting emails back in 10 minutes, or even within the 24-hour period, I already instantly, even if it's not the information I like the company more. Like BIOC, one of the reasons I was so balls deep in them was because even though she was telling me, to go screw off, she was giving me so much information and she was answering within like 10 minutes. I would close my email and boom, get a response right back. So it's really important that if they hire new investor relations teams, that's a great sign. And then also directors. So another one, WTRH. WTRH, the Rockets owner, Tillman, when he came in, he cleared out everyone. He put the CEO out on his ass. He literally cleared out the board of directors. He bought in his own team, and they've been able to go from they were going to fail without a doubt to almost, they should be profitable this quarter, which is absolutely insane of a turnaround from December to now. So I think that it's really key that you have to be in tap and know who the management is. Another one, EVFM. You see what they're trying to do. Half of the board was on Pfizer. Half of the board was at Merck. The guy that is bringing the contraceptive to launch is the same guy that bought Plan B to launch. Okay, so they went out. They paid this guy a lot of money because he knows what he's doing. It's really important to understand what the management is and who they are and their background.
Okay, so that's the management side. But on the other hand, a big personality factor can be the chart and the price action as well. So the range of prices and is like the biggest personality thing I look at, and also how I trade. And then if it breaks out of that, I kind of try and readjust it if I really like it. For example, INUV I played a really long time, and I just continued playing it on dips and rips as that's just how I learned it. I learned it after just being in it a while. But how do you kind of look at the charting and price action to focus on personality of a stock?
Yeah, so I think one thing that's really important to talk about is that I only play things with Catalyst, but it's really important because hype alone can drive a stock up. And then if you create I usually do it on the 180-day chart, where there's huge resistance and also huge support. Most of the time, if you're waiting on a catalyst, what you can do is that you can pick up the shares on support when there's hype and speculation that drives it up. It maybe cut a chunk towards that resistance, and if it bounces off that resistance really hard, then sell a bigger chunk and then just buy it back at your average, but still hold a chunk if the catalyst does come or if it does break that resistance.
Yeah, I think a big thing for that one is like when you go into things that the management and the price action really come into play, and you can kind of really dominate a stock. You look at like Mark, I want to say back in March and April, you knew what its management did because it dropped a tweet every other day at 1 p.m. Central Time. And you knew the price action would go from 36 cents to 42 cents until it didn't, until it just ripped. So, I mean, can you think of any that you personally had where you kind of felt like you dominated the price action and the management side and used them both to your advantage?
Yeah, so Rumble was a huge one. Rumble, we had been waiting for this huge, now it's obviously ran, but pre-reverse split, we were waiting on the checks to come in from the insurance. And this thing would literally go from 35 to 40 cents all the way up to 80 and then come right back down within a few days. And so also what that does is when it's trading inside a range, that's really good because you can rinse and repeat it until news comes. And that's really important, especially when there isn't a timeline for the catalyst like Rumble. So when they would quote unquote, this was their time to release a PR, like every July, the last week of July, they usually release a press release. That alone can make a stock go up 100% if there's a good enough of a catalyst there. So Rumble was perfect. Rumble was perfect because we didn't have a timeline on catalyst, and you can make 100 to 150%. And I would still hold a good chunk of my shares for when the press release did come, but you can easily cut half of your shares and then buy them back at 35 cents.
Yeah, once you learn that price action personality, and that's what it kind of maxes out, selling half your shares. And even if you have a swing account, this is one of the first things I learned was making your swing account free. Just keep playing those pops until your swing account is already paid off in profits. And that is just free Rumble you're playing with in a whole nother account that doesn't even matter. That's my main thing is how I play is playing the price action on things that have big catalysts coming soon. I mean, there's no better feeling than waking up to a 10% account gain.
Oh, exactly. And I think it's really important that although I enjoy things that have catalysts more, or, catalyst timelines, so what, things that, we can say that this is the day, or this is kind of like the week, like EVFM, this is the week, things like that. It can be really fun when you have something like Rumble where you're not sure when the catalyst is coming, but the catalyst is huge and that when it finally comes, that it will rip. So also what it's doing is, in Mark's case, was that when it's creating a range like that, when it finally does break that range, oh man, you can see a crazy swing. A crazy squeeze. Kind of like how I mean, you can just see like an insane squeeze because shorts are seeing the same chart that you're seeing. So if they see it bounce off of 80 cents a lot, half of them or who are inexperienced or don't have a lot, they're seeing the same thing that you're seeing. They're thinking that 80 cents is the top and that it's easy money to short it. And then when it does break out, they have to cover, which pushes the stock higher, and then you have chasers. So, I mean...
Squeeze, motherfucker!
Yeah. I mean, it can get really, really fun. It can get really parabolic when it breaks out of that range because you have shorts in there trying to cover. And I mean, the buying pressure because it's going off of scanners because it's breaking out. I mean, it's something... and that's one of the reasons I love swing trading is because when you're just sitting there and you're literally just sipping your coffee with your shirt off and, you know, maybe you're a little hungover and, you know, maybe you're playing Xbox on the side and you're just seeing like a parabolic move and you're making hundreds of thousands of, or tens or even thousands of dollars.
Yeah, I like how you're trying to be, you know, you're trying to be relatable. You know, making hundreds of dollars at one time. Look, man, we get it. Yeah, dude, I mean, for sure. I mean, I came out of an unhalt $13,000 richer. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, wasn't how fun was PRPO for you?
It was scary. I waited 3 hours for it to unhalt, man. 3 hours.
But how fun was it when it started to squeeze?
It did, dude. It unhalted. I refreshed my TD Ameritrade. I went from down 800 to up 12,000 immediately. There was no in between. So yeah, it was insane. And I just like opened it and I was like, oh my god, I'm selling it. And I was like, no, it's halted again. So yeah, dude, it was crazy, man. But whenever Rumble did that RS, did that give you a different idea on the management side of its personality?
Yeah, and one of my biggest issues with Rumble is that they didn't have an investor relations, which for a company that does their kind of revenue, that's definitely a red flag for me. And the thing already traded so thinly with the float that it had. So when the RS came, you know, obviously it changes the chart.
Yeah, it changed. You'd be trading at $7 instead of 70 cents, so that'd be a slight difference.
But then exactly. And also it hasn't had that time to create the support and resistance. It hasn't had that time. It did end up creating the $6 to $10 support resistance, and like 15 was huge resistance. So it did end up starting to create that. But right off, when you do an RS like that, and on something that already trades so thinly, when the float goes down to 2 million and it already trades thinly, that's when you just keep small shares because when it finally does go, it's parabolic. And we saw, you know, I mean, it took 2.5, 3 months, whatever. But when it finally went, I mean, that thing was fun to watch.
All right, absolutely, man. How do you learn the personality of a stock? I mean, we've explained it, but how do you learn them exactly?
Oh, this is one of my favorite questions.
Is this analogy time?
Oh, dude, we gotta start doing segments. Analogy of the week. Listen, guys, when you go to a bar, okay, and you see the next potential Mrs. Dippity, okay, at the bar, but you know, I mean, you know, she's all fine and stuff, and you know, maybe she's giving you the look and stuff, but you don't know if she's crazy, if you know she's already got a man, you know, you don't know anything. So what do, Dan? You watch her. You watch her.
Yeah. No. I meant on Facebook.
You know, you're seeing what she's doing, what she's drinking, because you know everyone knows that you know you can tell what a girl does, you know, based off what she drinks. But you know that's for a different day. That's for a different day. That's for a different day.
You also gotta look at her friends.
You gotta look at her friends. It's all about who you associate with, and that is the same with stocks. Because if her friend is looking around to flirt with a dude,
twerking on her hands.
She's doing, Dan?
Yeah. She's there for the same reason.
She's there for the same reason. Just like UAVS. When UAVS was doing its little dance, going to 2 to 3, guess what Vissel was doing? Guess what Vissel was doing?
Dude, I call that sectors, baby. The sectors.
Sectors, baby.
Dude.
So again, when you're at the bar looking for a girl and you see what her friends are doing, if her friends are dancing, guess what she's going to be doing? She's going to be dancing. Just like UAVS and Vissel.
Okay, so I don't really think that answered the question of how to learn the personality of a stock, but I think what Hugh was initially trying to get at was if you want to learn something's personality, you got to spend time with it. I feel like after you're in a stock for about 3 weeks and you've been scalping that bad boy a bunch, maybe it may take you 5 weeks. Just depends, because some take a while to do. They're like a wild bull, and you got to ride them for a while until you can grasp those horns. But if you
really gotta take it for a test drive.
Yeah, I mean, what Hugh does, like we said, there are 2 parts to it. He emails the management, like they're like, why is this teenager continuously messaging me? I don't know. He has a mustache. Like that's how he gets to know. And me, I'm playing these stocks every day. I'm looking at the price every moment of every day. So, I mean, you can get to know either the price action and it's more than just looking at the chart for price action for sure.
Yeah, 100%. And that's why it's important to understand both the chart and the management. I mean, if the management don't know me on a first name basis, I'm embarrassed. I haven't done my job. They should be like, oh no, this guy's emailing me again. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. They should dread because I should be having questions. I should know everything possible. They should be knowing my name. I should be knowing where their kids go to school. That's how good you should know their management.
Okay, well, maybe not that far. We are very, we like our privacy, so maybe keep it. You don't have to know where their kids go to school.
No, just give me the press release. Just give me the press release. That's all.
Or give me the principal's name. Okay, so now for some questions on stock personality. Number 1, can the personality of a stock change? We kind of explained it how it could with management, but for price action, I think whenever it breaks out of, whenever they do drop that PR, obviously the price action personality part is going to change completely. I mean, look at Mark after Iran or Genius or some shit.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's a really important part actually. And the other thing to it is that when you're looking at a chart, like I use a lot of times, if you guys notice, is that resistance also comes from a mentality standpoint. So if something's underneath $1, then say it's trading at 60 cents. Usually, if there's not 80 cents say 80 cents is the resistance. So we'll use Rumble. Say 80 cents is the resistance. Guess what the next resistance is? It's usually $1 because that's also investors. That's also the mentality that, when it changes dollars, so you see from $1 to $2 or 80 cents to $1, there's a mentality to that. So a lot of times the chart resistance also happens to be on dollar points or $1.50, like real aggressive points, which I think is really important to mention.
Yeah, real mental points. Yep. Okay. Number 2, what is your favorite type of personality of a stock?
Oh, I like a wild one.
Yeah, I like a little sassy thing.
Yeah, I like a little something that keeps me on my toes, kind of like my women.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Right on. What is the most feminine stock you're trading? And this guy, not us, included the word moody. We actually don't think women are moody at all.
No.
We love the women in our stock trading community. I like them more than the dudes. So with that being said, if we are talking about a moody stock, I think ONTX will get happy for a little bit, but then he gets pissy for a while until mommy brings him some cookies or something, which is like the weekly PR.
Yeah, no, that's true. I think for me, it's, and I don't post about this one a lot, but it's been OTLK. I mean, let me tell you, she goes up. I mean, she hit 172, and I think it's back down to 130 already. Like, what are you doing?
It dropped like 20 cents in one day.
Yeah,
it was a huge shot.
Yeah, it was a huge, and I got a good chunk in there, and I was like, dude, what are you doing, man? Like, you're killing me.
All right. Now, to finish up, we are going to do our swings of the week, a little Q&A, Hugh's DD, a scenario where Dan and Hugh become fathers, and lastly, our brand new segment, Trading While Working, where we get different people on the podcast that work different jobs and explain how they trade while on the job. So let's get right to it. Our swings of the week right now, my biggest ones are SPAQ, ONTX. I'm a little iffy on my SXTC. But I actually like L-Lit in this like 555, little 55, 54 range. So I've been, playing a little mass play still. You never know what's going to happen with this Corona
And because you know the personality of the stock, right?
I do know the personality of the stock. That is exactly why, actually.
I know. I got you.
What are yours?
Yeah, so my biggest position right now is TRVN. After Tuesday, it'll be EVFM. I'm just gonna come in probably like
big dong swinging.
Yeah. Maybe I'll yeah. I mean, I already have 5 accounts in it, but I'm going.
Put $1 million in.
I have a good chunk right now. I have a good chunk of shares right now, but so it's TRVN, EVFM, of course ONTX, SPAC, OTLK, and I don't think I'm missing anything.
All right. Well.
Yep.
Q&A,
Oh,
Q&A.
wait, hang on real quick.
Oh, whoop.
Because I've gotten this question 100,000 times. I am out of RGLS. It hit our 120. We got the news. I was holding it for too long. We got our price target of 120, and we were holding it way too long, and I was happy with the 67% gains. I tweeted about it, but I guess not a lot of people saw.
No more wriggles.
No more wriggles. We're done with her. We kicked her to the curb. We test drove her. She wasn't running like we wanted her to. We got our 67% and we're out.
Oh, word. Okay, well, now let's do the Q&A. First one. If you had 1 minute to tell someone how to best utilize Atlas Discord, where would you point them? Okay, well, good thing for us, we have our own podcast, so we don't need to do just 1 minute. We can take more or less than 1 minute. Honestly, I've actually gotten a lot of knowledge from being in the open voice and Atlas After Dark, less than Atlas After Dark. I say there's a no stock talk rule in there. So in the open voice channel, there's actually a lot of good info, a lot of good people in there, always giving out some good advice. And I think you can learn a lot in there, and just pay attention to the trading floor and just don't get too caught up in some of the shit that's said on the trading chat.
Yeah, I think for me, and I'll probably take more than a minute just because I always talk too much, but I think it's really important that you guys go to the education tab. There is literally, I think someone said 700 hours of education there. If you guys aren't utilizing that, then then you don't want to learn this, because there's so much there, from how to read a balance sheet to how to start with options, trading, charts. I mean, everything. So if you aren't utilizing that and you're just coming to Zach or PJ or Dan or me and you're just saying, hey, what do I have to do?
Please pump SPAC.
Yeah. Hey, what's going on with OTLK Day? I'm like, dude, I don't know. Sorry, but I don't know what to tell you. So I think that's really important, is that to use that tab. And then also, we hear a lot about the trading floor being in the Atlas Discord being way too much, that they feel like it's an auction house, etc., etc. What I would do is, and this is what I did, find somebody or the traders that you feel are closest to your strategy. So Bob and I have a very tight strategy, or very tight to each other's strategy. And that's why you always see us on the same trades, because we bounce things off each other all day and we trade the same. So what I did was I studied Bob. And then when I felt like I could contribute to Bob, that is when Bob and I really started to gel. Same with Zach. Same with PJ. You have to study them, and you have to understand everything that they do. So what you should do is, what I used to go and do is, every night at 2 a.m., I used to go back through and look at everything that Bob said, everything that Zach said. And I used to study that for about 2 hours a night. And then when I finally understood why and how they...
Why he kept tweeting, show me your titties, and nuke China.
Yeah, so once I understood why and how, that is when I went out on my own, and then I could contribute. Nobody, we all want to help you, but nobody's going to bring you on one-on-one. But if you can contribute, I guarantee you that you will have a much better chance of doing well. And don't say, hey, can you check out what's one? Can you check out LLIT? No. I literally have bags rocked underneath I wear sunglasses everywhere, because everyone's always like, oh, hey Hugh, you look aged.
Nice, dude. I've got bags of spack.
Yeah, so I think it's really important that you guys understand that you guys need to study the traders like you study the charts.
Another thing about contributing, that can go in any aspect of
Yes.
life. If you wanted to be a YouTuber and you wanted some tips, or a designer and you were in LA, I would volunteer to drive designers or YouTubers around LA for free.
Yeah.
I mean, like, these guys are already providing all this information for free. They don't have time to answer 3,000 DMs saying, check out this OTC stock, it's going to run.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, so number 2, how important is reading time and sales in level 2 for day trading?
Everything. I mean, I know I always say, like, I feel like
Everything is
everything is everything, but there's so much that is so crucial in trading that it's not that, like, if you're missing one of the components, you might as well miss all of them, and vice versa. I know traders who don't even use charts. One of the executives in Atlas doesn't even use charts. All he has is level 2's time and sales and active trader up constantly all day, and he doesn't care about charts. That's all he uses to trade.
Yep. So, I mean, yeah, anything that Hugh says is everything. You could just use like that. Like he said, I think this is a lot to do with volume as well. So, you know, I mean, it's obviously very important. And even if it's just for the basic things, it's nice to see, like, if there is a huge wall. I mean, you can just use level 2 for some basic shit.
Yeah, and also it's important to see that, you know, if you're seeing time of sales, like, I know when I'm looking at a level 2, and, you know, like, if you get scared by walls, then you know, this isn't the game for you. But I love seeing walls because, one, I make a little bet with myself, and I'm like, okay, is it going to bounce or is it going to go through? And when you just see the time of sales and you see the level 2 going down on that wall,
120 to 121.
yeah, exactly. And you just see it, like, you just see that wall getting taken out and you know, kind of like consolidating across the chart on the 1 minute. You know, when you see that, and then boom, it breaks through that wall, and you just see a huge green candle.
122, 123,
Yeah, and you're like,
124.
let's go! You know, I'm usually calling you or Zach. I'm like, let's go! Yeah, no, that's an awesome thing. So, you know, I mean, even though it's cool to see it on the chart, it's also cool to see it on time of sales.
Okay. On a swing trade that has gone 100% or more, what are good indicators that momentum can continue the next day or just continue in general? His examples were GNUS, UAVS, and NKLA. I feel this would be helpful for traders who currently own the next beast. And I guess if we want to add in a current one, Kodak. I mean, Zach held that shit for 2 days and it went to $50 from 2 or something crazy, right?
Yeah, no, it did. And I think this goes back to what we've talked about in previous podcasts, is one, volume. I mean, the volume has to continue. If the so a short strategy, and I know I talk about this because I want everyone to understand. I think it's really important.
That was 2 podcasts.
Was it 2 podcasts? Ooh. Yeah, I think it's really important to understand. If you guys really want to become great traders, you need to. That doesn't mean you have to use this strategy, but you need to understand some simple shorting strategies. And one of the most common shorting strategies is after something flies up, they don't touch it the next day. But the second day they look at the volume, and if the volume is dying, that's when they start hammering it. So it's important to understand that if the volume is staying high on the second day, and even like in the morning on the third day, then chances are it'll go higher. So again, volume is everything, and you need to, and I think it's really important that, like, you're not going to be like, oh, great volume today, it's going to $50 tomorrow. No, you need to be a reactive trader, okay?
Great volume today, huh, Peter?
Yeah, exactly. Geez, TRVN.
Lovely volume we're having out here.
Exactly.
You think this...
Yeah, no, I think it's really important that everyone always thinks like, oh, you know what? If it does these 3 things, it's going to rip faces. No, you need to be a reactive trader. And what we talked about in last podcast was about the bus stop. I'd rather get off 1 bus stop too late than get off 4 too late.
I think that was also 2 podcasts.
Really? Jeez, man, dude, I'm telling you, this week flew. So I think, but again though, if that's my strategy. Some people would rather get off the bus early and instead of getting off bus stop too late. And there's nothing wrong with that, but you need to be a reactive trader. Sometimes people say, okay, I've made 30%, I'm good. And that's a great P&L. If you make 30% on every trade, that's fantastic. But me personally, I would rather it run 2,000% and me end up taking profits at 1,800%. And that's just me. But you need to figure out your strategy.
All right, cool. I got a couple quickies. Next two, made us a 5 Q&A list today. All jokes aside, did you guys learn to trade through college or was it self-taught? Yes, he learned everything from his professor. No. Yeah, like it was mainly self-taught. Yeah, I mean, I think everyone pays market tuition, and I mean, it's just something you learn and just go with it from there, man.
Yeah, I think that's really important. Is that I don't think the only thing that I've used from college is nothing. Okay.
Everything is on the internet.
Yeah,
everything you will need to do anything to teach yourself anything is on the internet.
Yeah, I think we talk about this all the time, but nobody's born a great trader. Nobody. And there's no black and white. There's no if you do this and you do that. And
not Warren Buffett?
Dude, Warren Buffett is an anomaly.
What about David Portnoy?
I can't tell if David Portnoy is like a genius like Musk or if he's just one of a kind, just... I don't even know what to think.
I mean, I think he's a marketing genius.
Oh, he's a marketing
obviously.
genius. The fact that the way that he got big was getting arrested, like the way.
Yeah, I mean that blew him up. I mean, he put in like years of work delivering
huge.
papers.
Dude, did you know
anyways,
like
we're getting off
okay,
topic.
Yeah, I'm done.
Yeah, I mean he's old as shit. Yeah. Yo, barstool. No, okay. So, how do you handle dating now that you are quote unquote rich? Do you tell them? And if so, how do they handle that?
No, I don't tell them.
Nice, bro. Little Mr. Humble. Okay, fair enough. Moving on. I actually take screenshots of Hugh's gains and show them to the girls that I want to talk to, and then I let that play out until my card declines at Arby's. Lastly, what would you guys rather invest in? Cards, comics, or Beanie Babies? And I'm answering the hell out of this question. Yeah, right now I think it's got to be like baseball cards. And if you're wondering why I like baseball cards and not Pokemon cards, I really liked Pokemon cards and Yu-Gi-Oh cards when I was a kid. And I'm sure there are people my age that still are into it and maybe even a little older. So let's say they have a kid, because no random 5-year-old is randomly getting into Yu-Gi-Oh cards anymore. And then once that kid is 6, 7 years old, you can think, okay, so that would be a good time to start maybe investing in Yu-Gi-Oh cards before that blows up. If Yu-Gi-Oh cards were a little more popular. When it comes to the baseball cards, why they're blowing up now, or basketball cards, etc. Those are all extremely popular in, late 80s, mid 80s, 90s, who now have kids now that are old enough to buy their own shit. I think that is the biggest part of it. And also I got most of that from a Gary Vee video. So, yeah, hopefully that helps. You got to base it on, what the kid's age is and who the parents' involvement was. I'm sure Hugh probably would invest in Beanie Babies because he's a baby back bitch.
What even is a Beanie Baby?
You don't know what a Beanie Baby is?
Nah, but...
You were so young, man. Oh, my God.
Dude, I just don't...
Dude, you could buy some expensive... Beanie Babies are expensive nowadays, right? They're just like little bears with beans in them.
What?
And,
no, I'm not investing
they're...
in any of that.
Okay.
I
Well,
mean,
all
maybe
right,
the
fair
cards.
enough.
I
Those
guess
are
the
answers.
cards. Yeah, sure.
I actually buy some. Every time I see a really good rookie that I think is underrated, I'll buy some. Okay, now for the last little bits, Hughes DD, EVFM, that's Edward, Volithria, Famine, Monster.
Nice.
Hit us.
Nice, yeah. So, like I said, I'm going to be sprinkling all of the DD because this was actually really overwhelming to try and put in to a few tweets. So instead, Bob and I decided to sprinkle the DD throughout the next month. And that's just based on, like, we wanted everyone to understand the catalyst, but also we wanted to, what we want to do is that we want to keep, because no one's going to sit there and read my 30 pages. But
I would.
Yeah, that's sweet. That's sweet. So what we're going to do is every week, maybe every 2 weeks, we're just going to introduce a new big piece of DD that it just adds to our hypothesis. It's not groundbreaking. It's nothing insane, but it just adds to our hypothesis. So this week, obviously Tuesday, we have earnings, which usually, and let me make this clear, usually I would never, ever add right before earnings. But this is how I look at it. 1, we are 11% from the 52-week low. Number 2 is that I wouldn't have added EVFM before earnings, but the fact that they have a conference call right after it to highlight business operations is crucial to me. That's crucial. You know who else did the same thing? UAVS. And now, again, EVFM isn't going to announce anything insane, but my sentiment and my hypothesis is that everyone was waiting until earnings are out and there's nothing between the time that earnings end and the product drop that could potentially screw this up. So that was really important to me. So I will be on the conference call and I will be dissecting the conference call, but I wanted to be in, and what I'm doing is that right now I have 60% of my position. And what I want to do was to reduce my risk, is that if it has shit earnings and it dips, then boom, I instantly buy as much as I can. Then, now, say they have great earnings and they rip. What I'm going to do is that I'm going to still double up, because I think the risk to reward here is insane. But, and you're going to say, oh, Hugh, like, you know, you could have done that for so much cheaper. But if earnings shit the bed and it went down to 260, then I would have been so pissed at myself because I didn't add. So I'm taking the risk that earnings are great and that I have to average up with the same risk amount that if earnings are terrible, then I'm just going to average down. That is my plan. So now let's get into the DD. What I think they're going to talk about on Tuesday is that they've hired 60 sales consultants, that they're training them, and that they started the pre-campaign. That's what I think they're going to say. And then that's when I think eyes are going to start being on this, because now we're a month out. September's World Contraceptive Day. I think that's really important because a lot of eyes will be bought to the contraceptive sector. So with them being the first non-hormonal contraceptive, I think that this will bring a lot of eyes, being that it's contraceptive month. And then also, new DD here for you guys. According to Planned Parenthood, when EVFM is used as directed, it has a 93% effectiveness. Okay? 93%. Okay, when used as directed. So again, that would make EVFM, or that makes EVFM, according to Planned Parenthood, the fourth most effective contraceptive when used as directed. So that puts them behind the IUD, the birth control shot, and the birth control implant. So this is the only contraceptive that is, one, non-hormonal, and two, used every time that they have sex, instead of like the birth control shot or the IUD, which is like, or the implant, which you have to go there like every few months or once a year to get it, you know, whatever they do with that. Okay? So I think that that's really awesome. And then secondly, one of our followers sent me an email from Investor Relations. Now, if you guys are, I'm assuming you all have Twitter, but if you're not, I would go and follow Investor Relations. She chirps a lot on there. She loves to tweet. And one of our followers emailed Investor Relations, and she got back to her on Friday. And what she said was that there is no delay right now. So one of the things I was worried about that they would say during the conference call, although they said, and again, this is when you have to know the management, although they said it's to highlight business operations, one of the things that it can be worrisome, because they did worry about this back in March, even though that was a long time ago, you got to understand fully. They worried about a delay. Now, the Investor Relations said that there is no delay and that they're still on track for early September. So boom, that brings out one of the biggest things that was bringing out 50% of our risk that I was worried about, that there would be a delay. So now we just have to get through earnings, and I think that we start coasting. Boom.
Boom. Before we get into our scenario, we have a brand new segment that we started called Trading While Working, where we bring in successful traders once every few weeks with a different type of job to explain how they trade while in the 9 to 5, the 5 to 9, or part-time, whatever the hell we work. This week we got our guy R. Let's jump right into it. For our first Trading While Working, we have our friend and trader named R, who is a software engineer. Thank you for joining us. Can you kind of tell us about yourself when it comes to maybe your hours at work and how much you're able to really focus on trading and kind of just be able to look at the stocks?
Yeah. Hey guys, how you doing? Thanks for having me on. Well, as you said, I'm a software engineer, so I'm around a computer a lot in general. Honestly, hours vary day to day. It depends on meetings. It depends on workload. It depends on a lot. Every day is pretty much different in my world. So some days I have more time. Other days I have zero time, and then everything in between. It's quite the mixed bag, and it makes for an interesting trading run.
Okay, so you work remotely, correct?
Yeah, I've been remote most of my adult career, so quarantine and things like that haven't really affected me. Although, like I said, day to day it's very different. If I've got heavy workload and being called in different meetings, customer issues, what have you, then I may as well be at an office and away from the keyboard for trading. There's just too much on my plate.
So I see that the quarantine really didn't affect your job too much because you're remote. That was actually my next question. But can I kind of get the process of managing your trades while at work? And I kind of want to see how it relates with Hugh's being able to trade while maybe being in class or something.
Yeah, absolutely. So on any given day, I'm tossing things at the wall to see what sticks. So some days a lot might stick, some days less might stick. So as a general rule, I'll make sure that I have alerts set, not stop losses or anything like that, just alerts so that I can be notified if I'm too busy about a stock I'm in, a stock I'm watching, or anything of that nature. This way I can say, oh, all right, there's something going on here. Let me just take 30 seconds to look at it and see what's going on. I can always find 30 seconds to just check on an alert and get back to work if I need to. On busier days, these alerts have saved me money and made me a lot of money. So they've been kind of life-saving on the days that I'm swamped, I'm in meetings, I'm working, workload's heavy. These alerts have been literally everything. On lighter days, it's much easier. I mean, anyone who has either been off work or maybe just has off days, they're just watching the trades. Maybe they're walking around the house, they got on the mobile, they're sitting outside in the sun. So on off days or slower days, I mean, it's the same as anything else, and I think most people can relate to those where they're watching, they're trading normal. On the heavy days, the alerts come into heavy play.
Do you use more alerts whenever you're, depending on the workload for the day?
Yeah, absolutely. Every morning we have what's called a stand up, and we basically just get on track with everyone, what is everyone working on, what needs to be done, et cetera, et cetera. Since we're a smaller team, it actually helps me plan what's going on. And when I notice that in those morning stand-ups, there's a lot going on, and oh, look at the calendar, I've got 4 meetings today, and that's not even accounting for the unforeseen, I just say, all right, and I immediately start setting my alerts. I start setting up everything that can help me be notified and just check if I need to throughout the day, because I know I'm going to have minimal time, if anything, to actually check and monitor at anything I'm in or anything I'm interested in.
All right, perfect. Hugh, can you relate to any of that stuff with being in class, maybe having a heavy workload at the same time?
Yeah, for sure. I remember even when WTRH went off, I left the middle of a test because I'd set an alert and the alert went off, and that alert meant that I was up like 70%. So I knew that we got news, and a few of my buddies in the class were also in it, and we're like, oh shit. And my professor was like, what are you idiots doing? And we were like, oh, like we're killing this trade work, we're up 70%. And he's like, I will fail you if you flip over that phone and it's paper, but if it is, then I'll let you leave. And so we showed him, and we literally ran back to our house to finish up the WTRH trade. But really, just like R was talking about, it's so important to set alerts, take for profits, things like that. I don't set stop losses even when I'm doing something, just because algos can read those, and algos will literally push to where all the stop losses are to create a stop loss raid. So I don't set stop alerts, but I kind of use my alerts as stop losses. So if my alert for, like 10% underneath what it was today, or, 10% underneath my average, then that's when I'll just, run to the bathroom, and if I'm in class, and, sell, or vice versa. If it gets to a certain point, or if it's coming on towards resistance, then I'll run to the bathroom and do stuff like that. Like, I swear to God, my professors have to think that I have a bathroom issue, because it feels like sometimes every 3 minutes I'm running to the bathroom to...
So you're just creating as much free time as you can while on these busy...
Yeah, 100%.
And just using the alerts. Okay, so alerts is what it basically comes down to. Do you do any intraday plays at work? And if so, how do you manage them? Or is that more of just with the alerts?
Intradays, honestly, this only comes when I have the time. And even if it's lunchtime or somewhere around there, maybe I've taken a late lunch. I usually don't take lunch till about 1 p.m. anyway. But if I don't have the time, I don't do them. And I'll just have my alerts, maybe add to some swings while I'm eating a sandwich or something during lunch. But intraday, it takes effort, it takes monitoring, and if you can't monitor, there's a pretty good chance that things are going to dump on you, especially if you're playing sympathies. So if you don't have the time to monitor, I just don't. Just simple as that. I just don't do it. My alerts usually come in for things that I'm interested in longer term, not a quick in and out, a Tinder as we call it.
Okay, cool. And one more thing is with like I know you play options as well, so you're going to be covering. You have to set limit sells, limit buys for your stocks. You're dealing with options and stuff as well. Are options one of those things you need those free that big free time for? How do you like? Do you use anything besides the alerts? Maybe a limit sell, toss in something like that, just in case you see a severe drop.
Yeah, actually, I see a little bit different on options, although most options that I play would be longer term. So you'd look at them much like you would a swing, and alerts still come into play. You know, if something tanks, if I see news pop up that is not good for the stock I have an option for, then yeah, I'll create time, like Hugh said. I'll create some time to do something about it because I don't want it to just sit there and lose me a bunch of money. On the flip side of that coin, I do enjoy using limit sells when I'm confident that it's going to X price. Even if it flies above that, I'm going to still set the limit sell, take those profits because I'm busy and I'd much rather take my green than risk it on an option for missing that and next day it just being worth half or less than half of what it was.
Yeah, so what I'm hearing a lot in this is that a lot of it, besides just alerts, is knowing that you are in a very volatile market and you do need to be able to make time. Like, this isn't what you do if you went to jail for a week. You know, you're not, unless you're using your phone calls to call TD Ameritrade to set up weight or limit sales or something. But at the same time, you have to be able to make your time for this stuff is what I'm hearing from both of you. But I think lastly, and we've loved having you on, man, do you have any intentions of quitting your job and trading full time? And if so, what plans have you made to kind of approach that?
Actually, I do. Trading has been very kind to me. It's also just really awesome in general. I love it. I love the community. And I just love trading. It's been something I've ended up passionate about, which honestly I couldn't have seen coming some years ago, but ended up that way. So basically what I've done is I started out with what is my yearly salary, and then I divide that by 252. 252 because that's the number of trading days in any given year. And that gave me my daily goal. I rounded up a little bit because it was an odd number, but that gave me my daily goal, which would meet my current salary. So from there, I said, all right, well, meeting my current salary is great, but if I'm taking out a bunch every month, every week, what have you, then I'm also taking away from my trading account, what I'm investing, what I'm growing. So now I'm doubling what I need. So I should be making twice my yearly salary. This way I can take my yearly salary out. I have my living expenses, my insurance, all that good stuff. And I'm still consistently growing the trading account so I can continue to rinse and repeat this over and over again.
All right, perfect. I think that sums it up. Well, I guess I'd like to ask Hugh, do you have any plans of quitting your job to, trade full time? And have you made any plans for that?
You know, currently my full-time job is school, and I would love to quit my...
That was a joke, Hugh. We all know. Fuck you, dude.
All right.
You should have quit school a while ago. All right, man. We've loved having you on. We wish you many green days in the future. And yeah, dude, if anyone's looking to find him, dude, give us that Twitter handle.
It's at RT, and you'll find me with the same Wookiee icon you've probably seen me everywhere with.
All right, man. Well, thanks again for hopping on, and I will absolutely talk to you soon.
Great, brother. Appreciate it. Thanks for having me. See y'all.
All right, see you, dude. Okay, that was awesome. So now for our little scenario. You ready for this one, Hugh?
Oh, let me hear it. What do we got?
Are you a papa?
No. I'm saving it for Mrs.
So you're not
Hugh.
a father. Okay. Fair enough. Well, you're going to be a father today. So, do we want to read him being nice to us as well? Because he does compliment us a few times.
Yeah, hell yeah. I was like a good compliment. Okay. Stroke my ego.
Me too.
Come on.
Yep. Hey guys, congratulations on the podcast. Awesome content. I know I already tweeted you, but I've got to say it again. You talked about mindset, which has been the key to my success in everything I've done. So I got my mindset because I experienced hardships as a kid that gave me the badass motherfucker attitude. Woo! But Hugh, how what did your parents do to instill this badass MFer mentality in you? If you could cover this in a podcast for those of us raising kids, I would greatly appreciate it. Also, I believe this would help a ton of other people. Thanks, guys. Well, Hugh doesn't like to answer the fans, so I did DM this guy. I said, obviously, I can't speak for Hugh's parents, but basically what I said to him was, if your kids have a passion about something, encourage them. No one knows where the world's going. He may be the next millionaire Fortnite player. He may be, the next big Twitch streamer. He may be the next Jake Paul on TikTok, whatever it is. So that was mine. But yeah, what? How did you learn your BMFer?
Yeah. So first off, I'm a bad motherfucker. Yes, you are. Yes, you are.
Yes, you are, Hugh. Or yes, you are.
And also, real quick to, EVFM plug, the CEO's mother made her stand in front of a mirror, I tweeted about this on Friday, and talk about how beautiful she was. And I think that that's huge. I think that when you look in and this is something that my mom made me actually do plays and made me do like talent shows. And what this did was this instilled a kind of confidence. And now this isn't going to work for everyone, but this instilled a kind of confidence that if I can go out there, and again, I am not flexible, I am a terrible dancer and everything, but if I could go out there and do it for 3,000 people on stage, then I could do anything that I ever wanted to. So I think that when I was young, doing little things like that was huge. And then even to this day, I always try and do something that I don't want to do. And because that says that if I'm doing something that I don't want to do, then my day can only get better. So by me not sleeping and by me waking up early, by not wanting to wake up, I'm doing something. I'm getting the worst part of the day out of the way. And by me waking up when I'm tired as hell, now the day can only get better. So I think that it's really important also that what my parents did was that they were super supportive. So even when I was going through, not a rebellion stage, but even when I was kind of, skipping school.
Listening to rap music.
Well, even when I was like what I would do is that I worked at a bar. And so what I would do is I would come home from the bar by 2:30 and then I would, sleep and be out the door for senior year at like 7 a.m. So even days when I would sleep in, instead of yelling at me, they kind of understood that I was never going to be a kid in this system, and they supported me. Although they wouldn't let me skip too many days of school, they understood that money was always the most important thing to me, that there was never anything else that I would ever let get in the way. And so instead of making me go to school, and by me leaving school early, they let me say, okay, you can sleep in on Fridays, but you don't get to skip anymore. So I think that it's really important that you support them. If they want to, and again, we talk about this, a major that typically doesn't pay well out of college, if they want to do something like that, what my parents always did was that they always said, okay, you want to do this, great, but you have to understand this. And so even from a very young age, because my parents lived simple, even from a very young age, they made me understand that life is not fair and that there's consequences to anything. So if I wanted to be a teacher, because originally if I didn't find stocks, I was going to be a gym teacher. And so they made me understand, Hugh, you want to be a rich gym teacher. Do you understand what the average salary is? Do you understand what you have to do? And so by 12, I was crunching numbers about my return on investment of a salary as a gym teacher to see what I had to do to be $100 million. And then that's when I realized it was almost impossible.
When I was in second grade, I wanted to be an artist, and then they told me that most artists don't make money. So I was like, well, what can I draw and still make money? And they said, you could be an architect. And I was like, okay. I literally stuck with architect till I was in like 11th grade. But I think a lot of the badass motherfucker thing is not really caring what other people think if you're doing what you think is right. Like dude, you think the amount of people that say some slightly mean things because I'm a 25-year-old man dancing in 6-inch shorts to Taylor Swift, shirtless with a sports jacket on. I'm doing things to make some people laugh, and if some people talking shit, so what, man? They're not getting in the way of me fucking achieving my goal of making fun twits.
Exactly. Yeah, and I think supporting your kids. I think supporting them is huge, no matter what they want to do. And don't tell them don't do this. Just have them understand what the consequences are. And the younger they are, the better. The younger they are, that they understand that life is not fair, the earlier that they will start to see the world more clearly. And I think for me that was huge. And then also, Dan, to speak on your point, I got so much hate. I was on academic probation, and I was getting emails, I was getting texts from my extended family saying like, hey, like I heard like you're not doing so well in college, like it took me 5 years. I'm like, man, get the hell out of here! Like I ain't doing bad in school because.
The thing is, like, even if someone like my mom who makes like $300,000 a year, if she's like, well, I can still be like, well, I don't want that, I want more than that, and I think that's whenever she finally was like, okay, well, she can no longer be the status quo of success for me. Although, like, I love my mom, she's my role model, but at the same time, I don't want to live in Alabama forever. I like a lot of the women that live near me to have teeth. So,
yeah.
I think everyone, and knowing that everyone has different goals too. Yeah. It doesn't even have to be about money.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, well, to speak on your point, I think it's like, I have a really pretty successful uncle, and what he told me, he was like, do you really think that it's possible to make, $1 million before like 25? And I was like, are you kidding me? I want to make like $1 billion before 25. And that's still the notion. And he was like, well, do you understand you have to understand the consequences that 90% of people fail. And I was like, well, why can't I be that 10%?
Be that 10%.
Exactly. And that's why, that's why working 20 hours is not a big deal. That's why, going to bed at 3 a.m. and then up at 5:30 to go on a run. That's why that mentality sticks with me, because why can't I be that 10%? Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? Like, why can't you be that 10%? So I understood that most people fail, but the people that don't fail, they fucking live life.
Yeah, they're winners.
Exactly. Yeah. And so I think that's huge.
Exactly.
Is that all the hate that we got, even to this day, I didn't tell anybody, when I was making 6 figures, I didn't tell anybody. And they were like, oh no, like, are you going to start applying to jobs? Like, who's going to take you with a 2-3? Or I even had a professor this week email me and say, how is your future employer going to think about it? My first reaction was to email him back and be like, let me see, I just looked in the mirror.
It's me.
Yeah, I just looked in the mirror and he told me to go,
We're running a little past time, man. All right, and I think that's gonna sum up the podcast. The question that we're gonna need everyone to respond to is your favorite shoe brand. Right now, I'm thinking mine is 3 Stripes like Adidas. Just post it anytime you see us post, man. Put it in the applause. We'll judge you or salute you. What about you, Hugh?
I haven't bought shoes in like 3. Actually, I just bought running shoes. Nike. Boom.
So you like your Nikes. Okay, perfect, man. Well, that's good. And we will see everyone next Sunday for episode 5. Goodbye, everyone. Hugh, you have any words for them?
Peace, homies. Let's make fuck you money.
Yeah, greener pastures. Green pastures this coming week, boys. See ya.
Yo. Thanks, guys, for giving us a listen. And if you wouldn't mind heading over to iTunes and dropping us a 5-star rating, that would be much appreciated. Love you guys.